During the last questioning from the House of Rep on Very Dark Man, EFCC, and Bobrisky lawyer who tends to represent Bobrisky for that day, I felt there are few questions that the Ministry of or the Minister of Interior and the House of Rep are supposed to be asking. And I think that they need to set up a different date, which should not be far from now. And I'll be listing few questions that they should be asking because Nigerians are curious for these particular questions, which I jot down. Bobrisky, what prompted your attempt to leave Nigeria through the Seme border? Can you explain your interactions with immigration officials during your arrest? And also, we should be asking the immigration officer who actually apprehend Bobrisky, because they also have to appear in the House of Rep to discuss what their encounter was when they got Bobrisky, what was the questions and what was his response. Call back his attention. What were your reasons for not attending House of Representative hearing in the first one where he claimed that he was sick? Let him explain. Even though if that sounds like an answer, let him still explain. Another question, can you clarify the circumstances surrounding your detention when you were in the EFCC and where you were in the prison? How do you define the difference between being in an apartment and being in jail? He should, or she should, or she should be able to explain the differences so that we can see the lapses of what is in his brain and how we perceive where he was, and perhaps in his explanation we would be able to detect what kind of privilege or what kind of space he was. Why did you claim you gave the EFCC 50 million naira? What was the purpose of the money you allegedly paid to the EFCC? Because if you lie on the EFCC that you paid them 50 million and it's not true, they are liable to sue you, and it will be it's going to look fetish or stylish or something if the EFCC does not sue Bobrisky that Bobrisky was actually lying on the EFCC or laying false allegations on the EFCC, which they have to sue Bobrisky like 2 billion naira. They also have to ask Bobrisky who facilitated your plans to leave the country, if anyone. And then they have to bring the people who facilitate to help Bobrisky escape through the Seme border and ask them who is their, probably they know the Godfather, what was the preparation like, what is actually going on, what did they know. And ask Bobrisky, were there any individuals involved in your attempt to evade arrest or the country? What role did your brother play in this situation? Can you explain the nature of your relationship with the EFCC during the time that you were being in their detention? When you were in their detention, did you feel pressure to make the alleged payment to the EFCC? How long did you spend in the apartment you mentioned during your detention? He has to explain, even if it is one night. Did you have legal representation during your interactions with law enforcement during the time of the EFCC? Was your lawyer there? What do you believe is the basis of the House of Representative interest in your case? Kofenwe, making use the mouth, explain them again. What steps do you plan to take moving forward regarding these allegations? And I think the EFCC people who actually arrest, or the EFCC official who actually arrested Bobrisky, needs to come out. The officials and the inspectors, and here are the questions they should be asking them in the House of Representatives, not their boss to be coming to be speaking for them. The officers needs to show up. Question number 1, can you describe the circumstances of Bobrisky's arrest? What was the official reason for detaining Bobrisky? Were there any legal grounds for demanding money from Bobrisky? Who initiated the decision to request payment from Bobrisky? In fact, maybe police should separate all of them and start asking them independently before they come to the House of Rep. What documents supports the transaction between Bobrisky and the EFCC, perhaps if he has sent money and any one of them is trying to put the fault on the other person? If any one of them is talking anyhow, ask them, were there any witnesses to the transaction? Perhaps there is a betrayer out of them. Were any other officials involved in the transaction with Bobrisky? How do you respond to the allegations? They must ask all of them. How do you respond to the allegation of extortion against the EFCC? How is evidence collected and maintained in cases involving financial transactions? Let us see what their mind will be like. And then we should ask them, can they explain any discrepancies in the financial records related to Bobrisky's case? Remember, we talked about money laundering in the first place. Why did they drop the situation or the case at that time? Then for the warders, one of the questions we should be asking is, what record exists confirming Bobrisky's incarceration during those 6 months? Are there surveillance footage or logs from the prison that show Bobrisky's presence? Remember, I am asking this question because I was in the prison too, and there is a camera that is watching us all from the field. In fact, in every ward or section, there are cameras there. And then, what was the official reasons for any inconsistencies in his reported location? That is, they need to understand, why is it that there's an issue? We did not. In fact, they are supposed to call out some of the people that were in prison and ask them questions. How was your experiences with Bobrisky and the rest of it? In fact, because you can never be inside cell and you are not showing up at all. Certain people must know that you are there. Then they call those people. I know they will ask them, they will do warders. They would have rehearsed with them, but we can still ask them some questions. But I don't want to put out that question yet. What was the official reason for any inconsistencies in his reported location? Do you know why we are asking the questions? And then, anybody that is in prison, they are supposed to confirm day to day that the person is actually in the prison. It is the responsibilities of the warders. Were there any visitors to Bobrisky's during his supposed time in prison, and who were they? And all of them needs to come to the House of Rep and explain their experience with Bobrisky if we really want to get to the bottom. And then we need to ask them, the warders, how often are inmate calls monitored, and can any calls made by Bobrisky be traced? Why was his phone with him? Why was he using his personal phone in the prison? They need to separate all of them and ask them, what are the protocols for an inmate's temporary release or alternative confinement? The one person will make mistake. Who authorized any exceptions to standard detention protocols during his incarceration? How does the prison track inmates' movements and activities during their confinement? Because trust me, if one prisoner escape, all the other prisoners will know. So they must understand his movement. And how can the public access records related to Bobrisky's detention for verification? I know they would have it, but trust me, people can still raise questions from there. With that being said, if you think there are other questions we need to ask the Minister of Interior against the Bobrisky, EFCC, and the warders during the time of his detention, please, I would like to hear from any wise or probably lawyers who have more information. And let's see what way we can push all this narration so that they can have it in their head what they are supposed to do, because all this drama is getting too much. With that being said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, like and share. I hope to see you in the next one. Adios, amigos. If you did not subscribe, you must send money to my account. See you next time. Bye-bye for now.
When you are revolutionary and you talk the truth, people will come and slap you down. Then you talk the truth again, they lock you in jail. Them never hear anything at all. Then go hear pansa pansa. When you are revolutionary and you talk the truth, people will come and slap you down. Then you talk the truth again, they lock you in jail. Them never hear anything at all. Then go hear pansa pansa.